Hey, this is Jack, and this video is called How to Stop Getting Hurt in Dating and Relationships. Hey, I'm Jack Butler. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here or you haven't yet subscribed, you can hit the bell and then tap the bell notification so you hear of new videos as soon as they come out. I release videos every week on relationships and personal growth, and this is a fantastic community to be part of. This is real personal development, not gimmicks, not tips and tricks. This is kind of what's really going on and how can you really get more of what you want in your life and your love life. So let's talk about how to stop getting hurt. I want to tell you something that's been happening for me a lot recently, which is because we've been staying in a lot of hotels. I've actually been watching more TV than I normally do, and one of the things I've been watching is Shark Tank. I'm sure many of you know the show. This is where would-be entrepreneurs come and pitch their business ideas to a group of savvy and kind of sober business investors. So why am I telling you about this? I'm telling you about this because what often happens on Shark Tank is the really enthusiastic entrepreneur kind of gets sobered up by the savvy investor who says, I don't really think you have a business here, or I don't think you have a business that can scale, or you have some really interesting ideas, you even have a really interesting product and service, but I don't actually see that there's a business. So the investors are pretty good at seeing what is actually in front of me, right? Is it an investable proposition or is it not? And when you're in the dating and relating game, a lot of what you're trying to ask yourself is this an investable proposition? Now, we don't always know if an investable proposition is this is going to work out long term, this is going to be a medium long-term relationship. But what we're really trying to help you do in this situation is we're trying to help you weed out the people that have no real investable proposition at all for you. And one of the things you have to do to get over that is you actually have to read between the lines, and you have to get over someone's enthusiasm for you. Right? Particularly the verbal enthusiasm, which might look like, wow, this is amazing, you're so special, you're so incredible, I can't believe I got to meet you, we finally found each other. Right? Have you had some of these experiences? Now, I know a lot of you have because I get lots of comments, and I also know from my coaching clients, like this kind of behavior, this sort of over-the-top zest for you is quite common in dating and relating. Now, we could get into the why of that. Right? We could talk about things like unconscious attraction. We can talk about projection. There's a lot of psychological mechanisms that might explain why someone is talking that way. What you need to discern is actually not the why of that, it's just that it's happening and that that's no place to build your sandcastle. Right? Someone's overzealous enthusiasm for you isn't a great foundation to build a relationship on. Now, in the fullness of time, sometimes that enthusiasm can emerge and ground into something that is more real. So I'm not saying that every enthusiastic guy off the bat is necessarily worthy of dismissal. I'm just saying we need to be sober and discerning about what is actually happening and what he's actually saying and whether he has grounds to be saying that. Right? If he's falling for you, or if he's falling for some image of you, right, some kind of idea or projection of you, then that's not firm ground, and we need to see it as such. You can thank him for the compliment, you can accept the appreciation, but what you don't start to do is build, what we would call a castle in the sky, right? You don't start to build an idea of who he is to you and where this is going based upon unconscious enthusiasm, just as if you were in the Shark Tank and someone was like, this is the most amazing business ever. We could get this into the hands of every person in the country with your help. And the shark's looking at them and saying, yeah, but you haven't managed to put it into anyone's hands yet. So why would I build any sort of case that what you're telling me is kind of true? Right? So there's a lot of actually dropping into more objectivity, more discernment, more sobriety, more gut instinct, and not allowing, in a sense, some of your mind and its projections to get ahead of you. So if you haven't done it, and in the UK they have equivalent shows called The Dragon's Den. If you haven't watched Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, I just want to encourage you to watch it, and I want you to watch it from the perspective of if you were as sober, as grounded, as realistic, and as discerning as you could be, which of these people in front of you would actually really make sense to you. Because notice this, the sharks often invest not in the people that do the whiz-bang presentation, not in the people that sell all the sizzle of how amazing it could be, not with the people who say, oh, with your help, this could be, imagine with your help, how much PR we could get for this. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, why are these people saying, these are some of the most successful business people. They don't need any schooling on what PR they can or can't get, right? Because they know, because they live that every day. So why is someone who they've never met, who's got a little track record, why are they going to start believing them? In the same way, why would you start believing a guy that you've barely met? You don't really know anything about him. You don't know how his psychological projections work. You don't know how grounded or sober or realistic he is. What you do have is a better perspective on what do you know about that? What do you know about your discernment as to how grounded someone is in front of you, right? And if in doubt, you are on the side of caution in this, right? Better that you have a smaller idea of what something could be and it exceeds expectations, right? Just in the same way that if you were saying you were going to make 50,000 profit next year and then you exceeded expectations, that would be better for an investor than you saying you're going to make 100,000 and then you fall a long way short, right? So if in doubt, you minimize the expectation, not to be boring, not to lack joy, but just to actually be closer to reality and to stop the mechanism which I'm talking about, which if it happens in you is kind of unconscious expectations about the future, that when they don't happen, then you feel lured, disappointed, like someone hoodwinked you, and maybe they did, but maybe they did not much more than the over-enthusiastic entrepreneur on the Shark Tank, right? Which is they just believed something was possible that it actually wasn't possible, right? They themselves lacked their own, having been around the block enough, having been sober and grounded enough to actually realize, oh, when I start falling head over heels with someone based upon text messages or based upon 1 or 2 dates, I'm in cloud 9, I'm in cloud cuckoo land, I'm not in reality here. I'm not grounded, boots on the ground reality. Most guys, and certainly historically would include myself, we're not actually good at making those discernments in the first stages of dating because there were other things kind of above our pay grade, certainly until we've done some deeper study, reflection, and been around the block a bit to actually know that that's what's going to be going on for us, right? Or it might just be that you have a combination, there's like an energetic or archetypical combination that you have with this guy that he's not even fully encountered before. So you inspire something in him that feels kind of new, and he's doing his best to know what that is, but it's kind of got him, he hasn't got it, right? So any of the time where you're getting these kind of big things thrown over the fence towards you, take it with a grain of salt and just take it in the moment rather than having to build it out into the future, right? Because it's in the moment that you can just enjoy that appreciation, right? If he's saying amazing things about you, just take it in. But that doesn't tell me much about next week. That doesn't tell me much about next month. You know what tells me about next month is whether you're here next month and we're relating and whether we want to keep relating. That's really what tells me about next month. Now, so some of you, what will be hard about this is the way that you orient to life. And this is sort of like a true thing, right? There's nothing wrong in this. This is sort of how your energetic system works, is that you like to minimize your option towards one thing, like the goal, like this hopefully investable proposition, and then really mobilize behind it, right? So you like to quite quickly get to a sense of, is this investable or not? And what may serve you is just to take that timeline out a little bit, so you have a longer period just to discern, is this something that's investable? And you really notice if it's based upon a grounded reality, one that you could perhaps get reflection from a coach or a friend, and that it would kind of mutually make sense, or is it one that's sort of based upon an excitement around ideas that you're projecting into the future? That's kind of the different discernment you have to make. I notice this sometimes in myself around ideas. I have a lot of ideas. I'm a creative and inventive and ideational kind of person. And sometimes I can have an idea and I'm so enamored of it. It's like, oh wow, this is such a great idea, and I can just kind of see how it could fall in place, and oh, this person could help and this could happen. And I, even as sober as a lot of the time I am, I can for a little bit just kind of get high on my own idea. And it almost feels like it's happening, just in the way that you might sometimes think, oh, almost we're in a relationship, but actually we're not in a relationship. I don't actually know this guy. We haven't even hung out that much. We've been doing a lot of text back and forth. Maybe he started to call you in the mornings, but we don't really know that much about ourselves. You know, sometimes the idea and the execution are two very different things, right? You've probably heard even successful entrepreneurs say, you know, 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. I think that was even maybe Einstein. But that, you know, 1% idea, 99% execution, that it's all really in the execution. It's all really in the making it happen, because actually making it happen, the gritty day-to-dayness of reality is harder than the things that we can just skip to in our mind, right? Similarly, when you're getting really high on the idea of a relationship, you're probably thinking about, we could be this, we could do this, you know, we could have this kind of life, we could go these places, we could travel, we could cook, we could go on these sorts of dates, we could mix in these sorts of circles, whatever your fantasies are, right? You're probably not saying, oh wow, we can get each other triggered, we can release our childhood wounds, we can project our childhood wounds onto each other, oh wow, we can have ruptures and arguments. You're not probably looking on the downside, right? You're looking on the upside. And sometimes we need enough upside to inspire us, right? But if your inspiration could also include the grittiness and the day-to-day of reality, then your inspiration might have more chance of actually manifesting in reality, right? Because then you're not just perpetually disappointed by what actually happens in day-to-day life, right? And a lot of day-to-day life, whether you're building a business or a relationship, it's not just the front of house fun stuff, right? It's not just the having the PR in the newspaper or having the successful pitch or getting to be on stage. You know, a lot of it is things that don't go right. A lot of it is I'm scratching my head and I don't quite know what's even happening here. Or I'm tired and under-resourced and I've still got to show up, right? So a lot of life happens in the sort of quiet, dull moments, as much as it does in any of our castles in the sky. So if you want a way of not being hurt, I want you to really look at how discerning can you be when that guy comes to pitch to you, right? If we just put it in that sort of startup investor metaphor, when he's kind of pitching to you and he's saying, hey, you're great, you're this, we could be this. How much can you stay grounded and say, hey, thanks, buddy, we'll see. That's really the internal phrase, I think. We'll see. We'll see. I don't need to know right now. I don't need to create some valley of up and down expectations, because I don't really know right now. I don't actually know who you are, mate. So let's see, and thank you for your enthusiasm. Now, if you want more of this kind of reflection and support, if you haven't, consider to join the Becoming the One community. We've still got our $1 trial going. You'll just see a link beneath this video. This is a place that me and my teaching partner, Clayton Olson, we show up week in, week out to support people with questions about dating situations, questions about guys, and questions about the Becoming the One curriculum, which is a really neat curriculum. It's really about how do you be in relationship from a place that is as real as possible, and from a place where you are bringing what is truly yours to bring into relationship, right? So it's about authenticity, it's about realness, and it's about trying to get to the truth of what any particular connection is about. So if any or all of that sounds interesting, just click the link. It's $1 for 14 days. You can come in, check it out. You can be on a private live stream with us. You can get questions answered. It's a really cool community. I think you might like it. So click that link, enjoy it now. If you haven't, like this video, help me get the word out, and subscribe to my channel. And as always, I'm Jack. I look forward to being with you soon. Thanks.